Call to order a regular meeting, Goodyear City Council, December 15, 2008. Would you please follow the lead of Vice Mayor Antoniak in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation?
Please join me in the pledge. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bow your heads if you wish and join me. Dear Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening safely as we go about doing the city's business and protecting the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens in the city of Goodyear. Please watch over our public safety personnel as they go about carrying their duties in protecting our citizens as we end this 2008 and enter 2009. Watch over everybody, both here at home and abroad, as they go about serving us in other countries. Wish everybody here a happy holidays, however you may celebrate it. And last but not least, let our families that have lost ones in the last week or so know that our thoughts and prayers are with them during this difficult time. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, thank you. All of our council members are in attendance or on the telephone. We have 6 members in attendance, and Councilmember Holland is on the telephone, attending via the telephone. Brenda, you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move to expenditures, and we have the accounts payable for November of 2008. Are there any comments or questions?
Mayor, I typically have recused myself, but I understand you had an inquiry of the attorney today because I got a phone call about how that's handled and procedurally, whether I should be recusing myself or not. So,
John, I, and Rourke talked today, and all of us agreed that you don't need to recuse yourself.
I don't
Is that
think I-
under the normal circumstances?
okay, I personally have been challenged on this publicly in terms of whether I vote on issues that relate to my company. HDR consistently shows up because they have a contract, which I've recused myself from.
Well, I'll tell you, my rationale was that what we're talking about here is the payment of bills.
Right.
Apparently, the bills have already been paid anyway.
Right.
But the fact is, this government owes these payees a certain amount of money, and we're obligated to do that.
Right.
If you were a part of the fact that HCR got a contract to do this, that's different, but you aren't.
Right?
So,
I guess for me, I'm going to recuse myself this month. We're dealing with the ethics issue, I think, when we get back from the committee, and I'd like to see a discussion on how we handle this procedurally in the future. For tonight, I'm going to recuse myself. I mean, it's only $550, but I can't see voting on or ratifying any expenditure related to my company. For me, that crosses a line. So I'm going to recuse myself. I appreciate the inquiry on my behalf. I do think there's a responsibility to look through all the expenditures, which I do every month. And if I had to question one, I would question the city manager prior to this. But if we need to remove it in the future, that my company is not voted on by me or what have you until the Ethics Commission comes back with their recommendations, I'm going to continue along that stead and recuse myself once again this evening from the vote. If that's...
yeah, it's up to you. I think, though, in the future, if you decide to do that, what we'll probably end up doing is we'll just remove HDR from the accounts payable, and you'll vote on all the others, and we'll vote twice.
And I would say let's have a healthy discussion about that.
But tonight, we'll just recuse you from all accounts payable voting. Is that agreed? Okay, so for the record, Vice Mayor Antoniak has recused himself. Any comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? No, I didn't get a motion. I need a motion.
Second?
Okay, got a motion and a second to ratify accounts payable for November of 2008. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Brenda,
Aye.
okay, great. We got a 6-0 vote. Okay. And announce that the Vice Mayor's returned to the dais. Communications, Parrish, you're up.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Council. I'm here today to report on a follow-up that Councilman Sousa requested several council meetings ago. There was an article in the National League of Cities newspaper that stated the National League of Cities, in partnership with CVS Caremark, was going to allow member cities of National League of Cities to participate in the prescription drug discount program through CVS Caremark. And I did the research, and I presented to you today the actual card itself. It took a while, but they customized the City of Goodyear cards. And basically, the program is very simple. It entitles Goodyear residents to go to any participating pharmacy and receive up to 20% off on their prescription drugs that are not covered by insurance. So the audience for this would be people who either are uninsured or just need additional help with prescriptions that are not covered by their insurance. Just today I did look on their website, and I pulled up our zip code and discovered 15 participating pharmacies. Even though it is CVS Caremark, it doesn't matter if the pharmacy participates. Walgreens participates, and as well as the in-store pharmacies at Bash's and Fry's. So this is a great benefit for residents who are in need. And what I'm working on now with the communications department is putting together a communications plan that will be able to provide the public awareness and information on where to pick up the cards. CVS and NLC put together this little program. They have sort of a templated marketing plan that I'll be working through the communications division and get this out to the public. One of which would be tonight, just letting you know about it, and also link it to our website, and they'll be able to find where to go to pick up these cards throughout the city. The other thing I wanted to add, it's totally free, and CVS Caremark will provide us a monthly report on how many people are actually using it and how much they're saving. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Parrish?
So they need the card. They can't just go in with a Goodyear driver's license. They need this card.
That's right. As a matter of fact, because there's no cost, they don't even need to show an ID. They can pick up this card and use it across the country.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Thank you very much. Opportunity now for any citizen to address the council on any subject which is not on this evening's agenda. Would anyone like to comment on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, I'll move to consent, and I ask the city clerk to read items by title only, please.
A, approve a use permit to allow a Walgreens pharmacy with a drive-through on a 1.66-acre parcel generally located at the northwest corner of Feather Creek Parkway and Dell Road in the Cobblestone Street Commercial Center, subject to stipulations. Item B, approve a use permit to allow a Walgreens pharmacy with a drive-through on a 1.66-acre parcel generally located at the northwest corner of Newman Road and Cotton Lane, Square Commercial Center, subject to stipulations. Item C, approve a use permit to allow convenience use on a 0.33-acre parcel located at 734 East Van Buren Street, subject to stipulations. Item D, approve a comprehensive sign package for Cotton Flower Marketplace, a 14.70-acre commercial development generally located at the southwest corner of Cotton Lane and Yuma Road in the Cotton Flower Plant Area Development, subject to stipulations. Item E, adopt ordinance 08-1152, deleting and replacing section 14-7-7 of Article 14-7 of Chapter 14 and amending sections 14-7-6 and 14-7-8 of Article 14-7 of Chapter 14 of the Goodyear City Code to provide for the establishment and enforcement of a conservation and curtailment plan and to restrict water use to preserve essential water services in the event of shortages, providing for penalties, providing for an effective date, and providing for separability. Item F, adopt the Intelligent Transportation System Strategic Plan for the City of Goodyear. Item G, authorize staff to enter into guaranteed maximum price GMP 2 in account not to exceed $11,344,965 as described in contract amendment number CON-CX-0976-07 with Barton Mallow Company for construction manager at risk services for Phase 2 of the Goodyear Recreational Complex.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone in the public wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Would anyone in council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda?
Mayor, I just want to point out, I no longer have to recuse myself on anything in the ballpark, since there are no longer a conflict of interest on my part.
Great, thanks for advising us. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Antoniak?
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa? Aye. Councilmember Cavalier?
Aye.
Councilmember Lord?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne?
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Okay, we'll now move to business, and we'll start with the consider adoption of a resolution to execute an amendment to the IGA with Maricopa County on MC 85. Roll.
There should be a presentation coming up. Mayor Kavanaugh, council members, good
Excuse
evening.
me, Raul, sorry.
I was going to,
Mayor,
I think
we need a motion and
I
a
picked
second.
up on that, too.
It just hit both of us
Oh,
for the consent agenda.
we didn't have a motion.
We didn't- we
all
need a
oh my
voted.
motion.
gosh.
I picked it. I was sitting here bewildered myself.
All right.
So we need a motion to,
Mach speed doesn't work anymore around here. Huh? All right.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move that we approve the consent agenda as read by the clerk.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Antoniak?
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa? Aye. Councilmember Cavalier?
Aye.
Councilmember Lord?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne?
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh?
Aye.
7-0.
Raul, you're up. Thank you.
Mayor Kavanaugh, council members, good evening. Raul Varela with the city's engineering department. I'm here to present staff's recommendation for council to approve an amendment to the IGA between Maricopa County and the city of Goodyear for improvements on MC 85 between Cotton Lane and Estrella Parkway. If approved, this amendment allows the county and the city to defer construction of MC 85 improvements to early 2011 and allows for a payment plan to satisfy the city's financial obligations per the existing IGA. As background, the City Council approved the IGA back in September of 2006. The IGA provides for road improvements to MC 85 between Cotton Lane and Estrella Parkway. These improvements include widening MC 85 from a 2-lane road to a 6-lane arterial. The project is estimated to cost approximately $14 million, and it's supposed to be under construction no earlier than July 1st, 2008. Next slide shows the project limits. To the right of the slide, you have Estrella Parkway, and to the left, Cotton Lane. Now, under the terms of the existing IGA, the city is obligated and agreed to pay a cost share on this project of approximately 40%. That equates to approximately $5.6 million. The city also agreed and is obligated to make this payment no later or no earlier than July 2008, but upon award of a contract from the county. At this time, the county has designed and is ready to bid and award a contract for this project. However, this past summer, the county and the city mutually agreed to defer construction of this project. The initial concern with proceeding with this project this summer was the concern of having both corridors, MC 85 and I-10, under construction at the same time. The I-10 project is scheduled to be widened through December of 2010. So this project, the MC 85 improvements, won't start till early 2011. The city and the county also agreed as part of this deferment of construction to defer our cost participation. So that's in the form of a payment plan. So in summary, the amendment being presented here defers MC 85 improvements until the completion of I-10, approximately December of 2010. More than likely, the contract will be awarded early 2011. And the new plan that the county and the city agreed to is to pay 40% of costs that have been incurred through June 30th, and that's approximately $1.5 million. And the second payment would be made upon award of a contract sometime early 2011. And that's the remaining balance of the cost share, which is approximately $4.1 million. If the amendment is not approved, the county may bid and award a contract at any time, and the county and the city would be obligated to pay the full share of 5.6. And of course, MC85 and I-10 will be under construction at the same time. This time, council or staff recommends approval of this amendment. That concludes my presentation. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to read ordinance, please. No, the resolution.
Adopt Resolution Number 08-1282, authorizing city manager or his designee to execute an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between Maricopa County and the City of Goodyear for improvements to MC85 from Cotton Lane to Estrella Parkway, recorded in the official records of the Maricopa County Recorder at record number 2006-1513326, IGA, providing the deferment of the subject improvements under the IGA and for the payment terms to satisfy the city's financial obligations under the IGA, authorizing the city manager or his designee to take all actions and execute all documents necessary to carry out the intent of the resolution and the IGA and the amendments herein, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution,
Move the
please?
adoption of resolution number 88-1282.
Second.
As read by city clerk.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Souza and a second by Vice Mayor Antoniak. It's open for discussion. Okay, seeing none, call for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Sousa?
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier?
Aye.
Councilmember Lord?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak?
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Okay, we'll move now to, thank you, Raul, to consider adoption of an ordinance and a resolution related to the solid waste recyclable materials collection. Brian Barnes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm Brian Barnes with the Public Works Department. I believe I have a presentation to show you. Our residential recycling program has been very successful. We were the leader in including glass in our commingled recycling. We were the first city to include all 7 types of plastic in our recycling. With our 30% diversion rate, we are one of the leaders in the state in the amount of waste that we are diverting by recycling. Our 8% contamination rate is one of the lowest in the state. We have award-winning educational programs that have been developed by our communications office. The city has been very successful in implementing this program, reaching our goals and realizing our vision. Many other cities cannot make that claim. You should be justifiably proud of this program. With success, though, come additional requests. We have received many requests to expand our program to uses other than single-family residential. Some residents of Goodyear cannot participate in the recycling program because they live in multifamily complexes, and these services are not available to them. Various businesses, schools, and the Perryville prison have all requested that we expand our recycling program to include them. The city has new facilities that require very specialized solid waste and recycling equipment that currently is not available under our current contract. The purpose of the action by council this evening is to expand the type of equipment and services that we could possibly be required for or provided for current or future customers, to modify our current sanitation codes to allow other uses to utilize our program, and to set the rates for the new equipment and services. And I would like to very briefly review each component that you have received in your packet: the contract amendment, the sanitation ordinances, and the rate resolution. The contract amendment lists available equipment and services for trash and recycling for a variety of uses. Waste Management will provide the billing services for these non-residential customers. The fees for the recycling equipment and service levels are based on the market price for aftermarket recyclable commodities. The contract amendment has a provision that will allow our service provider, Waste Management, to adjust these rates quarterly based on the recycling market. The modifications to Chapter 10 of the City Code with sanitation will allow the city to provide this service to these new users. The ordinance provides the city with the authorization to bill for these services. It requires that all multifamily complexes within the city be mandatorily included in the city contract, and that each complex will receive the type of equipment and service that meets its specific needs. The ordinance also includes some language that will allow us to move forward with the development of some future recycling programs. The rate resolution establishes rates for each type of user and what they will be charged for the specific equipment and service that are required by them. The rates include a provision that allows the market to be reviewed quarterly, and then for the city to make adjustments based on the Southwest High official board market. The rates for these services will also be adjusted annually according to the Consumer Price Index All Urban Users table, which is similar to our residential contract. The city sanitation division is not asking for any additional funding to add these programs. None of these programs or modifications will increase budget costs. These programs will individually pay for all the equipment and services that they receive. But these program modifications will allow the opportunity for residents, businesses, school children, and inmates to participate in recycling and helping to ensure that Goodyear continues to be the leader in recycling initiatives. I am available to answer any questions that you may have. Also, we have a representative from Waste Management who is here, and John Acosta, our sanitation superintendent, is also here, and we're available to answer your questions.
Okay, Brian, thank you very much. Just to understand, there's an ordinance and a resolution we're going to approve here. The ordinance is to basically permits providing the additional service, and the resolution is for the rates, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Opportunity now for the public to comment on the ordinance, that is the establishment of the program. Okay, ask the clerk to read the ordinance by title only, please.
Adopt Ordinance 08-1151, amending provisions of Chapter 10 of the Goodyear City Code to expand the solid waste and recyclable program to provide for severability and appeal and to provide an effective date.
Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Cavalier and a second from Vice Mayor Antoniak. It's open for discussion. In council? Councilmember Souza.
Brian, just to make it clear, these rates that we're looking at this evening have no effect on residential rates at all.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Sousa, the rates that you have before you do not have any contact at all, don't affect the residential rates at all. The rates that are set before you are for specific types of equipment that we currently don't have in our residential contract.
I just want to make that clear so there's an understanding here. It's not picked up
That's
by
what he
the
said.
that There's going to be a general phone to start ringing. So, thank you.
Okay, further comments, questions? Councilmember Osborne?
Just for clarification, so for commercial business areas, will you be sending out letters to commercial owners, to strip centers, to management companies? How will they be getting these recyclable containers? Or am I wrong in that strip centers aren't getting them, or what?
Mayor Kavanaugh, Councilmember Osborne, the city staff is not actively pursuing commercial accounts. We will be in contact, and in fact already have been in contact with management companies for multifamily complexes to notify them that this change may be coming, and we'll be working with them. As we are contacted by commercial entities to expand into our recycling program, this ordinance change, the resolution, the contract amendment will allow us the opportunity to talk with commercial agents, property owners, to be able to offer recycling. When we go out to those property owners, those agents, we want to be able to offer a complete package, and that's the reason why we've included some of the solid waste provisions along with the recycling provisions. And we'll address those people as they contact us. We will not be actively pursuing those accounts.
Now, with the schools, is that the same issue, or they be contacting you?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Osborne, we've had a lot of contact with several of the schools here within the city. The schools, again, have approached us wanting to be able to recycle. Under our current contract, we didn't have the means to expand that program. This will give us the ability to go out and to meet with the schools and to offer these services. As we offer these services to the schools, though, it's important to note that the city staff is not proposing that these schools receive this service at no cost. The rate schedule will establish what the fees are for the equipment and the services that they're requesting. We'll work with the schools to try and design a program that will best meet their needs.
Okay, further comment? Vice Mayor?
To, I guess, follow up on the school side of things, are the rates competitive with market, and does market offer recycling? I know the schools are questioned because they don't have recycling right now. I had a mom call me, tell me her kids are packing the plastic bottles in a backpack to, she says, oh, don't come home with these, and they're setting the example for mom and dad, so it's kind of humorous. They're bringing it home, they're educating the kids, but they don't have a way to recycle in the schools. So talk to me about competitiveness on this end.
Mayor Kavanaugh, Vice Mayor Antoniak, the rates are very competitive. The one component that is probably not so competitive, not as competitive at this particular moment in time, is the recycling rates. Part of the reason for that is that the rate set for recycling is very tightly associated with the official board market and for those recyclable materials. And in the last 3 months, those markets have dropped very dramatically. As an example, Greg will confirm that I would tell you that the cost per ton of cardboard has dropped from $120 a ton to $25 a ton in the last 3 months. So what we've done is we've put in a provision that allows the rates to adjust. So right now the rates may seem a little bit high, but as the country works through the bailout and the credit markets begin to return to normal, and these recyclable products can be shipped overseas to China and Japan, the large users, those markets will increase. As they increase, our monthly rate will decrease accordingly, and we'll be able to adjust that. And basically what will happen is right now this rate helps protect our service providers so that they don't lose money, but at the same time in the very near future it's going to be built-in revenue sharing for the city, and the city will have more flexibility in determining where our rates should be up and down, and we'll be able to actually produce a little bit of revenue possibly from this.
Second follow-up question on the flip side. We're now going to require multifamily housing units, apartments, to utilize city services, right?
That's
Is
correct.
there any grandfathering? Those folks have existing contracts that got to run out. Have we discussed that with these multifamily housing? Oh, I mean, they're essentially business owners. They've got the reverse issue.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor Antoniak, there's currently 12 multifamily housing complexes within the city, a 13th currently being built. 10 of those are currently being serviced by Waste Management. And so we've already had those discussions. The two complexes that have current contracts with other service providers, we will work with them to allow them to complete their contract. And when their current contract runs out, then they will be brought into the city program. The key component of this is that all of the management companies for these multifamily housing units have indicated to us that all of their residents are asking constantly for recycling.
Okay. So little to no resistance from that side in terms of the market issues. Okay.
At this point, no, there's no resistance.
Yeah, as it goes for education, I mean, if there's, I don't know if, as Matt Hansen is going through his book and flipping through in terms of education and grants and that sort of thing, if there's a recycling education grant that comes up that we can get some money to do some pilot stuff at a school in any way, shape, or form somewhere, I'm sure we have some very willing parents and students that would be interested in doing that.
We'll sure look at that, Mr. Antoniak. The fact is that it does cost us approximately $10,000 if we were to absorb the costs ourselves, which obviously is very difficult given the current budget situation. But we will ask Matt to look at the grants.
Okay, thank you. Again, we're on the ordinance, and seeing no further comment, roll call vote. I did get a motion, right?
Yes, on the
Okay.
ordinance.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa.
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
It passes 7-0.
Okay, now we'll move to the resolution that concerns the rates. Do we have any comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, ask clerk to read that resolution.
Adopt Resolution 08-1281, establishing sanitation rates and fees to recover full operating costs and costs associated with providing extended refuse and recycling services to the City of Goodyear and providing an effective date.
Could I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I move we adopt Resolution 08-1281 as read by the city clerk.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Lord and a second from Councilmember Souza. Open for discussion. Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne, can you move your mic down? Thank you.
In my way.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa.
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Okay, the next four items are related to Goodyear Palms Plaza. Brett Birmingham will present all items, and following his presentation, council will consider four actions. Adoption of an ordinance to approve the rezoning, followed by approval of the preliminary plat, followed by a comprehensive sign package, and finally, consideration of a use permit for pylon signs. So we'll start with Brett, and Brett will brief all four at the same time, correct, Brett?
Yes, sir.
And for the public, I'll ask for comments from the public after Brett's presentation, and that will cover all four actions. Okay? All right. Brett, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council. We are experiencing some technical difficulties. The Elmo is not working tonight, so what I'm going to need to do is walk you through. I'm going to speak to a few exhibits, and so if you would take out this first binder, the final PAD. I will refer to a few exhibits in this document. Also, the other one would be the comprehensive sign program. I will walk you through some exhibits there. And there were also a few attachments to your staff report. The first one would be the aerial photo exhibit. Should be right at the tail end of your staff report. And that's where I wanted to begin, just to show the context of the subject property. Goodyear Palms Plaza, it's proposed to be located at the southwest corner of I-10 and Litchfield Road. And some of the land uses and existing zoning surrounding the subject property include: to the north is I-10, to the south is the Palm Valley Crossing Commercial Center, to the east is the Palm Valley Crossing Commercial Center. You have Yates Auto Dealership and also the room store. And then to the west is the Cancer Treatment Center of America facilities. There is also vacant land planned for office and business park development to the north of the cancer treatment site. And now, if you would bear with me and take out the final PAD binder and turn to tab B as in boy, which shows the kind of the development plan for the Goodyear Palms Plaza site. Does everybody have that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Should we show it for the eye?
Number B.
Okay. This application does have a development and phasing plan, and I will defer the phasing component to the applicant. Thank you. This exhibit has now been pulled up on your individual monitors. But this site plan exhibit shows the different types of uses in different colors. You'll note that there are 2 hotel sites in the corner, Hotel A and B, shown in green. There are 2 3-story office buildings, Office A and B, shown in a brown color. There are 4 groupings of office condos, shown in red. And there's a large retail shops grouping of buildings, shops A, B, and C. And those are in kind of a darker blue. And there are also some pad buildings adjacent to Litchfield Road, which are shown in blue and light blue. Those would be retail shops and pads for general commercial uses. If you can see here that there is a main driveway from Litchfield Road, and this would allow for full traffic movement and access to and from the site. And as you can see, the main driveway is flanked by 2 of the smaller pads, and they will be separated by a landscape median. And there is a decorative traffic circle that's used midway through the site, and at this point, traffic can turn to access the office component, the shops component, or continue straight to the Hotel A area, where there's kind of a half-round designed entrance for the Hotel A site. And you'll note that there are decorative pavers proposed throughout the center to identify the primary and secondary driveway locations. So in terms of vehicular access, we've got 2 driveways from Litchfield Road and 3 from Fillmore Street. I mentioned the 2 hotels before. They're proposed to be located in the northwest portion of the site. If you note the north arrow on this exhibit, it's pointing to the right. The larger hotel is identified as Hotel A, and it's proposed to include 100 to 200 rooms at this point. And the PAD application that you have before you would propose that this Hotel A may be constructed to a maximum height of 7 stories or 110 feet. The second hotel site, which is labeled Hotel B, it's proposed to be located closer to Interstate 10, and it's planned to include 80 to 120 rooms and would have a maximum building height of 4 stories or 56 feet. And it's important to point out here, if you looking at the area just in front of the 2 hotels, shops A, B, and C are backing up to the hotels, and so the applicant has placed some landscaping in between those 2 uses in an effort to screen the loading areas from the hotel parcels. So I needed to point that out. You'll also note in the PAD submittal that the specific users for the hotel buildings and are not identified at this time, and there are not conceptual building elevations for the hotel at this time. However, the PAD does identify that the future hotel architecture, the colors and the features are required to be consistent in design quality with the other buildings in the PAD. So the hotels will be developed as independent projects, but the architecture is required to complement the architecture that you see in this PAD. I mentioned the height that the applicant is requesting for Hotel A, 110 feet. We have worked with the Phoenix Goodyear Airport on this request. The property is located within the traffic pattern for the Phoenix Goodyear Airport, and the Phoenix Aviation Department has reviewed this application and have noted the proposed height of 7 stories or 110 feet, and they do not object to this PAD amendment, and a letter stating that is included with the staff report. I now want to, if I could just move to tab C, I want to refer to some of the building elevations that are included. Starting with tab C, and then the next 5 tabs include building elevations of proposed buildings. And this will all be in your binder. There won't be anything up on the screen on this one. You'll note that on the left portion of the pages, it notes the types of materials and colors that are proposed. So there are painted CMU block is being proposed. There will be stucco and also painted decorative steel and glass or window areas. And the first exhibit shows the retail shops, the shops A, B, and C elevations. If you move to tab D, it is shops E and F. Moving on to tab E is shops G, which is a smaller retail shops area. And moving on with F, you get into what the 3-story office buildings are proposed to look like. And tab G is the office condos, showing what the office condos are proposed to look like. It's important to note at this point that staff has been working with the applicant for a considerable amount of time to ensure that the architecture was in compliance with the City of Goodyear's design standards. And staff made sure that the applicant did reach a level of quality that was consistent with Goodyear's design standards before we were able to bring it before you. We did have a citizen review meeting for this series of cases on June 19th, and there were no citizens that attended the meeting, and we have not received any calls or inquiries about this project. And in terms of staff's findings, the proposed rezoning, which includes the proposed building height of 7 stories, 110 feet for Hotel A, and general commercial uses being allowed throughout the site, staff has found that that is compatible with the existing and planned land uses within this area. The parcel of land is adequate to accommodate these types of uses, and there will be sufficient vehicular access from Litchfield and Fillmore Roads. The proposed final PAD is consistent with the general plan land use designation of community commercial, and staff believes that the development of this property as a planned commercial center will be compatible with the adjacent planned areas that we've mentioned. And this concludes the remarks on the final PAD. So I can answer any questions on the final PAD, or I can just move on to the preliminary plat.
Let's just move on.
Okay.
Putting the sign.
Sure. The preliminary plat exhibit was attached to the staff report. And this is a fairly straightforward plat. It's subdividing the 43 acres into 14 commercial lots. And the proposed plat design is in compliance with the standards and policies of the zoning ordinance and design guidelines. It will ensure that adequate provisions for the extension and construction of the necessary facilities will be provided to this site. Moving on to the comprehensive sign package, if you would continue to bear with me and move to this second binder, comprehensive signage program. And this one doesn't have tabs, so we'll have to refer to page number.
Sick in this cold, aren't you?
If you would turn to page 6, we have a freestanding hierarchy signage exhibit, which shows where the different signage will be proposed in the center. The applicant is requesting approval of a sign package that does contain some deviations to the city's zoning ordinance, and it includes main project identification signage. And has everyone found this exhibit on page 6? Okay, the first sign that we'll discuss is number 1. You'll note that there are 2 number 1s adjacent to Litchfield Road, and these are the project ID signs. They'll just list the name of the center. There are also proposed, there is a freeway pylon sign proposed, and that's where you see the number 2, which is close to Litchfield Road, adjacent to Interstate 10. There are 4 freestanding multi-tenant monument signs for the offices, and those are shown with the number 3s. So there are 2 on Litchfield Road and 2 on Fillmore Street, and I'll show you an exhibit of those in a moment. And finally, there are 2 freestanding multi-tenant tower signs, and those are shown with the number 7, so on each side of the main drive. If you would then turn to page 9, you can see the freeway pylon sign proposed to be 70 feet. I will get into the details of that special use application in a moment. But you will note that the freeway sign is proposing to identify, it will identify shops A, B, and C, and the 2 hotel sites or users. If you move
Do
to...
you want us to comment on, do you want us to comment on these as we go through?
He's getting to it right now, I think.
Mayor Kavanaugh, Councilmember Sousa, I will get into greater detail with the freeway monuments, or the freeway pylon sign in just a moment.
Okay.
Before I do that, I want to show you the different types of monument signs that are proposed. If you would turn to page 11. Page 11 shows the mid-size monument signs. There are 4 proposed. You'll note that those are 8 feet in height. They are proposed to show office tenants. There's a great deal of office space proposed in this center. And one thing that the applicant did, per the direction of staff, was agreed to, on the 2 3-story office buildings, the applicant agreed to not have any wall-mounted signage on the upper floors, the upper stories. And so the office signage would be included on these 4 8-foot monument signs, 2 on Litchfield Road and 2 on Fillmore Street. If you turn 2 more pages to page 13, you'll see the multi-tenant tower signs. And these, as I mentioned, these 2 signs would be on each side of the main drive. They are proposed to be 24 feet each. They identify the shops tenants to the Litchfield Road traffic. They also identify the center, and they include shelters and seating areas for pedestrians. So staff has noted in the staff report that there are deviations from the sign provisions of the zoning ordinance. Prior to the meeting, staff conducted some research on recently and similar types of developments as they relate to the multi-tenant monument signs. And to report, there are 4 that I wanted to cover. In the Canyon Trails Town Center, we do have 6 freestanding multi-tenant signs. The size of that property is different than the subject property you're seeing tonight, but they did have 20-foot freestanding monument signs. Additionally, Goodyear Centerpoint had 4 that were at 18 feet. And there were 2 others to mention. Palm Valley Cornerstone had 3 multi-tenant monument signs at 18 feet in height. And finally, the last one I'll mention, Pebble Creek Village Marketplace, which is the southwest corner of McDowell and Pebble Creek Parkway, had 3 multi-tenant monument signs at 20 feet tall. So, as I mentioned, although there are deviations to the zoning ordinance, staff has found that the request is generally in conformance with signage approved for other similar developments. And the proposed signs do have a unified design theme, and the intent was to complement the architecture proposed for the center. And finally, a few words on the use permit for the freeway pylon sign. We can stay with this booklet that you have for the sign package. Back to page 6. I mentioned the location of the freeway sign where it has a number 2. So it's adjacent to I-10, a few hundred feet off of Litchfield Road. And then on page 9 is an exhibit of the freeway pylon sign showing the 70-foot height, showing the Goodyear name, and also the 5 tenant panels. And the final exhibit that I need you to review was attached to your staff report, and it was entitled Freeway Pylon Signs on Interstate 10. Does everyone have this exhibit? I want you to be able to see where this proposed sign is in relation to the Cancer Treatment Center sign, the signs that were recently approved.
Yeah, it's in here somewhere. It's in our package, right?
Yeah, it's the last page on 8F.
What section of page?
Oh, here it is,
It's the last page on 8F. Frank?
on page 173. right here. It's in our big book. It's in our big book, and it's the last page.
Why don't you tell us the distances? I think it's 1,000 feet.
Sure. The proposed freeway sign would be located approximately 1,150 feet from an existing sign at the Goodyear Autoplex. And if you look at your exhibit there, you'll see that the Goodyear Autoplex is labeled. It's shown with a red square. And the proposed freeway sign that we're talking about now is shown as an orangish colored octagon. Additionally, it is proposed to be 1,000 feet away from the recently approved freeway pylon sign to the west at the Cancer Treatment Center facility. So the proposed freeway pylon sign is not in conformance with the minimum separation distance of a half mile along the north side of Interstate 10 as prescribed by the zoning ordinance. Staff has found that the applicant has demonstrated an acceptable level of conformance with the freeway pylon sign design guidelines to warrant approval of the requested use permit. However, as you'll note in the stipulations on this case, staff finds that there is justification for the proposed freeway pylon signs only if the 2 hotels, which are the significant regional commercial uses, only if they are actually developed on the property. So staff is therefore recommending that any approval for the use permit for a freeway pylon sign be conditioned upon the development for 2 hotels, as well as the other stipulations that are included in the staff report. So this concludes the presentation by staff. Apologize that the exhibits were not available on Elmo, and we can answer any questions that you might have. The applicant is also available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Brent. Opportunity now for the applicant to speak.
Can Brent just clarify one point he just made? Sure. Did you say the stipulations in the sign package about the 2 hotels, or is that something we need to?
No.
Correct. The stipulations are in the staff.
Okay.
Yep.
Find it. Oh. How come I didn't?
Good evening. For the record, Mayor and members of the council, my name is Heidi Short, 3003 North Central Phoenix, and I believe I have a PowerPoint, I hope, if they can put that up, the Fenimore Craig PowerPoint. They gave me hope. I saw it before.
Still working out.
Thank
There
you.
it is.
Staff did a very thorough presentation, so I'm going to make mine brief and focus on our immediate development plans and some certain design elements in the site. First, I would like to note that we did work a lot with staff over the past year to create a site plan that meets the city's needs and concerns and also meets the development needs. The site is designed, of course, to provide office, retail, hotel services to the city and also to the CTCA and our new spring training facilities. The immediate construction for the site, the 2 hotels would likely go in first. We're very pleased about that. And then Office F, which is a condo office. And you've seen the site plan before, but of course the 2 hotels are located, they are the green buildings, and Office F is the red building that's located essentially in the very center of the site. And this would be the latest phasing plan for the project. Again, the hotel and Office F going in first, and then the offices, the remainder of the offices, which would be office condos as well as offices that are leased, would go in as phase 2. And then phases 3 and 4 would include your commercial and retail developments. Once again, Office F is a condo product, and it's likely to provide office space to doctors practicing at CTCA. We've been told that CTCA will hire about 100 doctors. They've already hired 50 to 60, and so they have an immediate demand and need for office condos. It would be medical office. This is a rendering of the typical office condo, and what you can't see is the courtyard in the middle, but we'll get to that soon. And these are the elevations showing the materials for the office condo product. Then I'd also like to discuss the hotels because they would likely go in first. 2 are proposed. They would be built nearly simultaneously, if not simultaneously. Drawings have actually already been started, and with a city council approval, we would immediately request construction permits. The hotels do require freeway signage, not a shock when you're dealing with hotels. The reasoning, of course, is as we've got most of the visitors obviously to the hotel will be from out of town, but also to the site will be from out of town. We need to orient them to the hotel. We need them to know that the hotel exists. It's convenient. It's at this exit. And yes, Goodyear does offer quality overnight accommodations. Our goal is to have, as the travelers going down Interstate 10, they're scanning the freeway, and they see that Goodyear offers quality accommodations. And I did want to mention that the freeway sign's effective height, it's 70 feet, but effectively, because if you'll recall at Litchfield, the interstate is raised at that point, the effective height is only 40 feet. So you're not going to see a lot of sign. Then, as Brett mentioned, it will include the 2 hotels and the larger retail spaces, A, B, and C. And there's a rendering in case others didn't see it earlier when Brett was talking. Here you have the freeway pylon sign and other signage for the development, which I'll discuss in just a minute here. In this project, we really emphasized the pedestrian and we emphasized connectivity. We recognized 2 things here. We've got to account for the fact that a lot of our visitors are from out of town. We're going to, of course, service the city of Goodyear, but you've got a lot of folks coming to the spring training facilities and going to CTCA. So we've tried to create, and keep in mind that the visitors going to CTCA are probably not feeling well, and so we tried to create an almost park theme for them. We established that immediately with our entry signs. They include a seating area under the entry sign with a lot of landscaping. We're trying to get our park-like theme. Those seating areas will actually also be used for folks who are taking the bus, because the bus bay is located right by those signs. And then we created a link going through the development, and actually I'll show you the site plan while I discuss this. You've got your main entry drive. That includes a pedestrian spine, and they can easily access the retail and the office condos. You also notice that the offices, the brown offices, which will be leased, those are the multi-story offices, include a pedestrian link from those offices to, and actually that pedestrian link terminates at the courtyard for one of the office condo projects. And then the pedestrian could go to the next courtyard and so on. So we tried to create a pedestrian link, more of a park-like atmosphere. It will include several seating areas, additional landscaping, and those courtyard areas will hopefully be soothing to folks who are likely visiting a doctor in those office condos. And once again, recognizing that a lot of our visitors are going to be from out of town, we wanted to do two things. First of all, get them to the site. Tell them, yes, this is the correct site. It's located here at this exit. And then second, once they get in there, we need to orient them to to their correct destination. We've got different visitors coming here. We've got visitors going to the hotels. We've got visitors going to office buildings for your typical office uses. And we have visitors likely from CTCA who are going to see their doctors. We want to make it a stress-free environment. We want to easily move these folks through the site. And so the signage has been designed to tell them, you're in the right spot, and here's where you want to go once you're within the project. If you're going to see your doctor, we want it to be labeled, easy to find. Your hotel, we want you to know exactly where it is. And, of course, retail establishments always require signage. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, we're going to go to the public in a second, but there's one clear, unless I'm sadly mistaken here, there's one clear departure from what you said and what the book says, and that is the phasing.
Yeah,
Yes, it has changed with the economy.
No, the hotels, right?
Yeah,
In ours,
right.
it said the hotels were not going to be started first, and that's why I was surprised when you said the hotels are going to be started.
That's a significant change.
Yes, in our information. I'm with you, Mayor.
Mayor Kavanaugh, we could, of course, update the submittal, and it changed with the economy. We were actually thrilled with the change. We wanted to see the hotels go in first, actually.
We should change it tonight, too.
But maybe we should delay it. Also, we saw the facades for the various buildings, but we didn't see any for the hotel. And yet the hotel is the first thing. I agree, hotel should be the first thing. I was concerned when I saw this.
Yeah.
But what we're reading, what's in front of us, is different
Than what
from
you said.
reality.
In terms of phasing. And you're going to have,
And information. We don't know what the hotels are even going to look like.
and I don't know that, can I identify the hotel users? No, I don't think we can. They would submit, they're relying on a city council approval.
All right, CTCA needs the hotels.
Yes,
I agree.
yes.
But that isn't what's in front of us.
Well, and
And how can we make it happen and yet satisfy our need to be able to make a decision? Because if you're saying starting, what does starting mean?
my understanding is we're going to submit construction permits immediately. For construction permits immediately. The hotels want to move now.
Well, then we need to see them.
And CTCA wants them to move.
We want them.
But that isn't what this says. Rourke, do you have any help here, or what do you think? Oh, we'll get to the public in a minute.
I guess, what would be the harm in the shift in phasing? I mean, anybody could do that anytime we approve a
We have
PAD,
no
so.
idea what these hotels are going to look like. We've seen everything else, but we haven't
Yeah.
seen the hotels.
Back for site plan review in front of council.
There you go.
And then you can approve the whole project, and then the hotel has to come back.
Gary?
Out of order.
Rourke, if you want to duplicate what he says, say it, but I want to hear it from you.
Did you hear what he said?
I did hear what he said. He's talking about site plan, though. I'm not sure that's going to meet your design guidelines, so I think that's a little bit different. Do we have a stipulation as far as design guideline approval, or just we? I mean, that's a question more than site plan, I think, Gary.
I don't think that's in the stipulations.
Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council,
Depends on what you want.
the way the PAD is set up, the PAD outlines that there are no elevations for the hotels, but it does have information in there that requires the hotels to be consistent in quality with the other building elevations that you've seen that are included in the PAD, specifically, which includes consistent four-sided architecture. The PAD also, essentially, the hotel will be developed as an independent projects, and the architecture is required to be complementary to the remainder of the development. So the way the PAD is proposed at this point, the hotels would come in through a site plan, which would be an administrative review and approval by staff. So staff would be forced to ensure that the hotel building elevations are in compliance with the architecture that's included in the PAD.
What did the PMZ vote on?
4-2.
They voted for it.
No,
Right.
what
4-2.
phase? Did they vote on the phasing that
I see what
the
you're saying.
representative from Fenimore, Craig, briefed, or on the package?
Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council, the staff report was prepared a month before the Planning Commission meeting, and so when it was presented, the applicant did show the updated version of the phasing plan, and we weren't sure if that phasing plan would change again. We have had a month since the Planning Commission meeting. So as the application is, we would want to specify that the phasing plan included for this PAD would be the phasing plan that the applicant has shown you tonight. We would want to make sure that that would be included in the PAD submittal that you would approve. And the Planning Commission did acknowledge that updated phasing plan.
Well,
Can I ask a
would
question?
see a delay in building the hotel if they're ready to go. So we got to work something, in my view, we need to work something, makes common sense here to make this happen.
Councilmember Lord, is your concern about the text, the phasing plan? Because I think Mr. Birmingham talked about you could do a STIP amendment, or you can amend the PAD to reflect what the actual phasing plan is now. I don't think that that's an issue, but is the issue the council wants to review the hotels prior to submitting their
Yeah,
approval?
well, I'll use an example. When we had Canyon, what was it? All right, help me with the shopping center, but it was Target.
Best Star.
Canyon Trail. So we were, they came before us, and none of us were happy with that building at all. The rest of the area looked good, and so we really did have some constructive input into the changes we want to make, what we'd like to see made. So
Won't that come back?
what if that happens in this case? I think that's what the concern is. So how do we...
I guess we're approving a pad and a preliminary plat.
All right, plat.
And 2 signs.
That's correct. And it's,
So the site plan is not included here, is it?
That'd be the PAD.
It's in the PAD.
It's in the PAD.
I'm not sure you're going to see it
No,
again,
that is
yeah.
zoning. You're still seeing it.
Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council, if the council wishes, you can place a stipulation that the applicant bring back a site plan showing the building elevations when the hotel is available. You can make that a stipulation, which I believe is consistent with the Target example that you mentioned.
Okay, just tell me how that works for them with their timing. Time is money. With the building, we got to be realistic for them. So how does that affect them?
I know. I know that's coming. I know you're going to do that.
Yeah, because it looks like tolls.
I don't know.
That'd be in the final PAD,
We
Jim.
haven't even got there, but I know that's coming.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're not.
So are we,
This isn't the final
I assume
PAD.
they're discussing, but are we contemplating then putting a stipulation they would have to come back to us with the site?
I think
The
that's what
elevations of the hotel? I mean, I guess I'm
Sounds
going
pretty
to
simple.
echo a little bit of the mayor's concern here, and I mean, it's a 110-foot building. It's the first 100-plus building we're talking about. We haven't seen the site plan or the elevation. I think it's a bit, I mean, I know we want Gelser Commons sooner rather than later. We've all been pushing for a 100-foot building, but it is a bit ostentatious to not see the elevation of a 110-foot building. It's going to be the landmark structure in the city of Goodyear. So there's definitely a delicate balance here between an ECDEV deal and a... So, anyway.
Vice Mayor Antoniak, Mayor Kavanaugh, if I might, we would be okay with coming back to council with the elevations for the hotel. We would appreciate all of the other approvals. Maybe you add a stipulation that requires us to come back to council. We know we need all of the other approvals to keep moving ahead with the hotels, but we think they might be amenable to coming back with the elevations.
I think so.
It wouldn't be much different than the way we dealt with Walmart and Target, right?
And I said, Pat, this is a rezoning of the pad, isn't it?
Excuse me?
This is a partial rezoning
From
of the pad.
commercial to PAD.
Well, this is going to be a rezoning, yes.
Yes.
I guess,
Pad already approved, or preliminary
So it was
pad?
commercial, huh?
Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council, there is an existing PAD for the majority of the property, but it does not allow for a 7-story building, and this new PAD is making it so that any general commercial use that they're proposing here would be permitted.
That's a preliminary.
This is a final PAD.
This is a final?
I'm inclined to support approval of an elevation coming back to us. I don't want to slow down the hotel, especially, I mean, 2 of them, especially given CTCA's dependence upon
I'm
a
with
couple
you,
of
Rob.
hotels and the tax revenue. But I'm inclined to support an elevation submittal to council from my vantage point.
I think a couple of us probably are, but we haven't even got to the other issues yet on
Yeah, I know.
signs.
No.
Oh, yeah, well,
But
And that's
we did
why
need to
I'm-
clarify, and really, this should have been presented up front, that there was a departure from what we read. Comments from the public? Mr. Geller.
Get a card, too. I saw a card.
like in a school.
I'm back, Mr. Mayor, protecting the high seas from pirates. I want to comment on this project and also make my comments both to the council and to the developer. We have a world-class hospital that is just to the west of this project, and I implore the developer not to be hasty and to find 2 hotels that will develop both at 4 stories. They will come to regret this when the economy turns around, which it will eventually. I would strongly recommend to council, 1, that you approve the project, 2, that you require both hotels to come back with elevations for council approval. I think you can bypass Planning Commission in the name of speed and expediency. But I would also encourage you to improve the sign package. This is the commercial heart of the city of Goodyear. And while I understand that there are some concerns on highway pylon signs, commerce drives the nation. And if you don't understand that now, you have your head in the sand for the last 8 months. And signs drive commerce. We need a Goodyear sign, we need an identification for this, but we also need to support this world-class hospital with the amenities that it deserves. And if you don't have a sign package, you're not going to get a first-class hotel. And if you don't get a first-class hotel, this project is not going to really turn the city around. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I have another speaker.
Okay.
Roger Matlin.
Roger Matlin. Why do we know that name? Roger.
Good evening. My name's Roger Matlin. I'm a resident here in Goodyear. Reason I'm speaking on this is because I was reading the proposed item earlier. Of course, you had it on the website. And I'm just concerned that the city is building far too much, and you don't really have a game plan for it. I understand that the cancer center is coming in, certainly a good project, but I would really like to see, as a taxpayer and hopefully a future council member, that these projects are thought out a little bit more, and that you actually review the projects before you're approving so many hotel rooms, obviously 2 projects there, the rezoning of the site, and it doesn't seem like the planning has really reviewed this at all, and you're in the process of approving a final plan here. So I would just ask that you step back and put this off and review it again before you make any final approvals on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments from the public? Hey, why don't we continue the discussion at the council, because we do have several subjects here to cover.
Yeah.
And I know Dick wants to talk on signs.
Sure.
So I think he'd like to do that before we approve or disapprove anything.
I think we should.
So why don't we just open it up for discussion? We've talked a little bit about the plat. We've talked about the zoning change a little. We haven't talked about signage. So let's start. Frank, you want to start over there?
Well, I'm not, I would, you want me to start?
Don't forget Brenda.
Forget Brenda.
The plat is fine with me. I would like to see the hotel elevations. I'd like to know what kind of hotels we're getting, what class, what level. And also, on the signage, I'm certainly not against pylon signs, but in my opinion, for what it's worth, this is not a very good-looking pylon sign. I think we need a creative artist working on pylon signs in design, because I see so many just square, nothing pylons that really add they're not attractive at all. You wouldn't notice them. You wouldn't look twice at them. But if you get a sign, like some of the signs I've seen in some of the small cities in California, where you are really attracted by the sign because it says something, and it pulls you to it. This sign is just a block. It's just like you poured a block of cement and put a little cap on the top. And I'm very disappointed. As I said, I'm not against the pylon signs. I'm just disappointed that the design isn't more creative. And for the rest of it, that's all I have to say. The rest of it is fine. I like the development. I like the fact that you put a lot of pedestrian pathways through the parking lots so that it is pedestrian friendly, and it'll be easy to get to with an automobile coming in. And I think the shops and the business buildings, everything that's in there is fine. Again, the hotels, you want to start that first, but you don't show us anything. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Vice Mayor, thank you.
Yeah, I'm inclined to support everything in front of us, except one part. And it's abnormal for me not to be in support of a sign package. And I have a feeling we're all going to find a lot of agreement on this one tonight, and we haven't discussed this at all. And I don't want to approve a sign package based on the fact that your hotels need it tonight. My opinion would be to push the sign package till January, approve your other items, and have you go back to the drawing board. With all due respect to the architect that designed the sign, I'm not a Photoshop guy, and I'm not an architect, but I work in a design firm, and I see things every day. And this, I hate to say it because I'm usually not this criticizing from up here, but this looks like something I could have done in Microsoft Word on the back of in a matter of hours, and it's just a little too. it's a little too elementary for me to approve for a sign package. Not that I'm not willing to approve a sign package. It's just, yeah, it lacks some creativity, and that's going to be the first sign you see coming in off of I-10 outside of the Autoplex and the existing Target sign. So I'm inclined to approve everything else and table the sign package until January. I'm hopeful that your client, i.e. the hotels, wouldn't balk at that, understanding that my opinion will change when I see a different sign package. The one thing about the PAD and the zoning is I would implore you, and I won't stipulate to it, but I would implore you to work, and I know it would be challenging going across the railroad tracks, but an ADA-compliant trail back and forth to the hospital. I think you got to do that with this project. You're going to have patients in those hospitals that are going to be staying at your hotels, or you're going to have families visiting that are wheelchair dependent or walker dependent and that sort of thing. So a creative approach to a trail system back and forth across our parking lots and across there, whatever they've got on the other side. I forget if it's drainage or what, but work with Mr. Vallette over there and work with our staff and come up with some amenable solution there. So I think I've said enough, but the sign package for me leaves little to be desired.
Let me just make sure I understand. Are you saying that you would like to postpone both the comprehensive sign package, including all the signs, or just the one related to the pylon
Well,
sign?
let me ask a question. Maybe I was unfair, but I think if I look at this is the entry sign, right? The main project ID. This is what I'm going to see when I come off the freeway. I'm going to take a left-hand turn, and this is what I'm going to see. This isn't what I want to see in Goodyear.
Number one.
I want to see something a little bit.
So you're talking about comprehensive sign
Yeah,
package
this-
also? Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, I just want to confirm that.
Corner.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, okay. Councilmember Holland, do you have any comments?
Yes, just a few. I feel like I'm echoing my fellow council members, but I feel that the sign package left much to be desired. It doesn't fit our vision. We do have a strong vision for that area. We know where we want to go, and not commenting too greatly on the hotels because we're excited that they're coming. But of course, we would not approve without seeing something and know what we were approving. So I think, generally speaking, we're on the right path to making sure that we meet the vision that we have for that area, except for those two particular areas, and I think we can take care of those in January. So I agree with my fellow council members.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Souza?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I like the concept of
Could you hear me?
Yes, we have, yes. Do you have anything else?
I didn't get the first part at all. I don't know.
I guess not.
I like the concept of Goodyear Palms Plaza, but I'm not a proponent of pylon signs. And I have to reiterate what two of my council members said before me. And this is going to be more or less a tape. I think somebody's got to go back to the drawing board and be more concerned about what projects they're promoting. In this sign, as it appears, certainly doesn't do that. With the major shopping center we have coming in, they have some pylon signs that we approved. And certainly I would direct you to review those signs and see if you can't come up with some concept similar to those. Other than that, I would vote for the project, but I'm willing to postpone any action on this item until we get some resolution on the sign package. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Lord?
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit differently. I'm not opposed to the sign. I think it matches the architecture that they're using. It's a very tailored look. I think the Goodyear Palm Plaza with the palm trees on it, so it's colorful. So I'm not against that. I am uncomfortable about not having the architecture of the hotel before me to be able to look at it. But I'm fine with this. I thought that Councilman Antoniak's suggestion on the trail, going from having some kind of walkway, is excellent. I think we should pursue that. So I have one other thing I just want to mention, and this is way off of what we're talking about, but I want to compliment staff on the police department response on Coax C, on telling us what's going to happen and what the potential needs are going to be of the police department. I asked for that the last time, and thank you very much. It was very informative.
Yeah, I want to clarify an important point about
Yeah.
and maybe staff can answer this, because I don't want, the reason I didn't want to stipulate to the trail, but I want you to work on it, is because of the railroad right-of-way. I believe it still exists there, so maybe you could elaborate on that.
Yes,
It's another
Mayor
challenging
Kavanaugh,
to work with.
Vice Mayor Antoniak, there are 2 points of access proposed on the site plan that would link pedestrians to the railroad right-of-way. In the future, this right-of-way could be released for sale, and we hope that in the future that it will be a nice area for pedestrians to be able to pass through there. So the applicant has revised the site plan, and you'll note, if you look at the portion adjacent to the railroad, you'll note that there are 2 pedestrian areas. There's a colored paver area, one by the Hotel B, another, I think it's in between Office A and B, that leads to that portion of the site where there will be pedestrian accessible areas.
And then I have one more comment. For the public, you know, the Cancer Treatment America has been here for a while, and there's been lots of conversation going on with our development community. So this isn't just a hodgepodge, throw it together, and a community, this business park. It was well thought out, and it consisted of needs that the Cancer Treatment of America needs to have. So I just want to confirm that because it sounds like that none of us really thought about this, and there was no planning going into this development, but there has been. So even though we're having difficulty tonight in the presentation because of the change in the delivery date of the hotels, I would confirm that there was a great deal of thought that went into the development of this business section. Section, or whatever I want to call it.
Okay, Councilmember Osborne.
Well, I'll start off with the highlights that I see. First of all, I think the site plan is good, and I like the architecture of the office buildings and the office condos. You know, it's all very harmonious. I do agree with Councilmember Lord that really the signs, you know, they do leave a lot to be desired, but actually it does flow with the architecture of the buildings. I don't like freeway pylons. However, I do feel that there is a need for this pylon for the hotels. And that may be gasping and shocking to everybody, but I think that we need that for the hotels. Someday, though, the Lord will look down and say, oh, Legos or Dominoes, and, you know. But anyway, okay. My concerns, I will tell you, I did not mention the retail of the architecture because I think there needs to be more detail to the retail. I was not thrilled with it. I think that you have it as being a entryway to a beautiful site plan, and I think they could be better. I think there could be better architecture. I just think there could be better pizzazz. Your signs showing 6 signs across the front. I have no problem with signs 1 and 3, but I do have some hesitation on sign 7. You're going to have 24-foot signs. We don't have 24-foot signs too often within our city. Most of them are 16, 18. Now you're talking 24. And they're going to be right next to each other. They're not like at one end of the project and another end of the project. We're speaking of one roadway of 2 20-foot signs. And so I have concern about that. I don't think they have to be that grandiose. And I know that you're saying people can sit there for the buses, because I was, quite frankly, not understanding why I'd want to sit under sign, but if the buses are coming by, I guess that could be a nice bus bay. But I think 24 feet's a little much, and to have 2 of them. I could maybe go for 24 foot and 1, but I think 2 is a bit much. So I can see us continuing the sign package. That was my concerns. That may not be concerns of others, but the 24 feet was concern. And I really would, stress that the architecture, the retail, and I'm a retailer, and I'm telling you right now, I think it could be better. So that's my 2 bits. Thank you.
Okay, what I'm hearing is a majority, one exception at least, would prefer to postpone both requests on the sign, the comprehensive sign
I'll go
package
along with that.
and the
Yeah.
pylon use permit.
Yeah.
And a good comment was made that I do think that there would be discussion if, in fact, that isn't lowered from 24 to be something that's more consistent with our other entry signs.
It's 20 foot, right?
Yeah, they're
Well, there's some
16 to
20s.
20.
16 to 20.
And it's, that can be worked through. So I'll probably ask for a motion to postpone those. Is that right, Rourke? Should I do that? Yeah, okay. And then, but it sounds like we are ready to move ahead on the
Rest of it.
right, the ordinance and the preliminary plat. I did have one question, though, and maybe it's for you, John. We have a significant user in the city of Goodyear who'll be here in 2010 and wants hotel space, and is looking at going to a nearby city. Is it possible, ma'am, that this hotel would be up and available in February of 10, if in fact? No.
Mayor, Councilman, my name is David Phillips. I'm involved.
Can you talk
with
a
this-
little bit louder, please?
Excuse me. I'm involved with this project, and you're asking about the timing of the hotels.
Yeah.
I think is what I heard. A year from February, they would definitely be up and running.
Soon we can get the site plan approved.
February
Right,
2010.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if that happened in December of '09, probably not. But
Is it too late for them to compete for that?
I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor. We can sure check with them, however.
Okay. All right. Well, I have no further comments. It sounds like we should probably start by postponing.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you're going to postpone the 2 sign items?
Could I have yes?
Yeah,
Do
motion.
you need a motion for date certain, or do you,
Yeah.
till January, are we back on the 5th? I mean, when do you,
No, 5th is a work session, so it'd be the 12th.
12th?
12th.
Is the applicant able to come back to us on the 12th? Or is this,
Mr. Birmingham is stating it's going to probably take longer than that. Postpone to a future date, and we'll bring it back when it's ready.
motions such as that? Okay, so I'd move that we postpone items 8E and 8F to a future date.
I have a motion from Vice Mayor Antoniak and seconded by Councilmember Souza to postpone items 8E and F. Any comment on that?
I'll just make comments that since the council in total is, concerned about this, I'll go along with it.
And I want to be on the record. My objection is not the freeway pylon sign. It's the architecture of it, okay? So if you're talking to the hotels, I mean, I'd implore you to work with staff and, get an idea of what council is thinking, but I wouldn't want to lose the hotels over whether we put a pylon sign up or not. It's what it looks like for me, from my vantage point.
Well, that was, excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm looking at the artistic side of it.
Well, we're going to come back.
That wasn't the point I made.
I know, and I respect Dick. I don't,
You made the
Councilman
point.
Sousa,
You don't want a pylon sign, or no?
No.
Okay.
I say, I'm not objecting to the pylon signs. I'm objecting to the architecture.
right, okay. Sometimes there's,
And we all are in
sometimes-
agreement on
Okay,
that, I
all
think,
right.
from
Good
what I
deal.
can tell.
Yes.
Yes.
I wasn't, sorry, I didn't mean to, wasn't pointing out the differences between Dick and I.
Okay, and just across the street, I think it's Mervyn, isn't it? Well, that's a very attractive pylon sign.
Well, in CTCA, we just approved, so, I mean, take a look at theirs as well. Their architecture is far different.
Okay, see no further discussion on postponing 8E and F. All those in favor of postponement signify by stating aye, please.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Okay, passes 7-0. Okay, now we're at, we're going to 8C. C. And that's the ordinance, and I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance by title only, please.
Adopt Ordinance 08-1153, providing for conditional rezoning of approximately 3.2 acres of property from the General Commercial C2 zoning district and amending 40.56 acres of an existing final planned area development pad to the final planned area development pad zoning district on the entire 43.76 acre parcel for a mixed-use commercial center known as Goodyear Palms Plaza, located at the southwest corner of Interstate 10 and Litchfield Road, adopting supplementary zoning map number 07-027 to provide for a change in zoning, providing separability, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, Mr. Massey, do I need, I don't think I do, but do I need a stipulation that I do regarding
Yes.
the phasing change?
No, not, just if you'll let me walk through the issues. I don't think you do on the phasing, because there is some flexibility in the submitted PAD that they're flexible to move the phasing around. And I think what they'll do is they'll submit an amended phasing plan with the final document. So I don't think that is your issue. But if the issue is you want to review the elevations prior to the issuance of building permit, I think you're probably going to need a stipulation on that. And the other issue I heard up there this evening was concern about a 7-story building. There's a stipulation that specifically addresses a 7-story building already in there. So if you approve the PAD tonight, you're implicitly approving a 7-story building.
But if we say that the architecture's got to come back to us, we're stipulating that that 7-story building is going to look and
You can,
feel
yes.
based on our approval.
You will have a 7-story building, but you'll have some say in what it looks like.
That's what I'm getting at. I don't, the 7-story building doesn't kill me.
Okay, can you give us a suggested stipulation?
I have some, unless you do.
If I may, Mayor, I just wanted to make certain the council knows that we've obviously been marketing the site for some time now. We haven't found any hotels interested in a 7-story building. Both have been at 4. I just wanted to make that clear as you're making your decision here.
Okay. I've got some.
Still a 7-story building.
Well, up to 7
Up to.
stories.
Up
Yeah.
to.
Up
but
to,
they're saying
okay.
they haven't
That's
found
okay.
anybody with 7.
What I would suggest is that a stipulation 16 that would read, prior to the issuance of a building permit for the 2 hotels designated as Hotel A and B on the site plan, applicant shall submit building design elevations. Now, it's up to council. I have a question here. Do you want P&Z approval and council approval, or just council approval?
Just council.
Here
I
it
just
is,
heard the chair.
council.
For city
P&Z chair
council.
says go straight
Yeah,
to
the head
council.
man said council only.
Okay. For city council, consideration and approval. I think that would cover it.
Stipulation 16?
That'd be stipulation
Now,
16.
I'll ask for a supplementary motion after we get the first motion under control. Okay? Let me go back to, all right, Lynn?
Roll call?
You did your ordinance?
Right, you need a motion.
I need a motion on the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move that we approve the ordinance. Can I do it with stipulation 16 as read by the
Can I?
city attorney?
You haven't made the motion yet, so you can incorporate
Yeah,
it
then
into your
let's do
motion.
it.
Yeah, all right. Then I move that we approve the ordinance as read by the clerk with stipulation 16 entered into the record as read by the city attorney.
Second.
Great.
Good. Let's do it. One
I
last
have a
motion.
motion from Vice Mayor Antoniak and a second from Councilmember Cavalier. Okay, it's open for discussion.
That's a good discussion.
Okay, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak?
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa?
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier?
Aye.
Councilmember Lord?
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Okay, I just reiterate that we did ask for citizen comments earlier. I'll now move to approving the preliminary plat. Could I have a motion to approve the preliminary plat?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the pre-plat for Goodyear Palms Plaza.
Second.
Motion from Vice Mayor Antoniak and a second from Councilmember Cavalier. Open for discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I heard 7-0. All right, and that's that. So now we'll move to comments or on current events by council members. Councilmember Lord?
Yes. I just want to compliment Shop with a Cop that when it took place this weekend. It was just wonderful, heartwarming. And I want to thank the coordinator. It was Detective Justin Hughes and Ann Brand, Carrie Crafton, Michaela Hicks, and of course our one and only Susan Petty made up of the staff. Chris Nadeau was the Santa Claus. Joe Pacello was an elf, which was hysterical. Jeff Mercy
Was he angry?
Jeff Mercy drove Santa's transport. Wally Campbell's group from Pebble Creek raised the majority of the funds. Bruce Polsner from Chick-fil-A gave breakfast to everybody with donating his cow suit and lots of hugs. Walmart's were sponsors as well. And Triple T Production, owned by Virginia and Mike Tonano, donated the shirts and the artwork. So thanks to everybody. It was a successful day. You had just lots of happy, happy children.
You cold?
Freezing.
Oh, that's the other thing. Is there a way that we could work out this? And this is the second
It's- oh
time,
my
and it is so cold in here.
We certainly will.
I'll echo that. I never complain about it being cold, so it's chilly.
Well, it goes with the thought. It
like
goes
you're
with the
trying to
thought
freeze
on me
words
right now
out.
because
All right, let me make a quick comment. On Thursday night, I went to a meeting with Interfaith and mayors from the West Valley on foreclosures in the West Valley, and each of us spoke a little bit. And then Friday morning, there was a Southwest mayors get-together with some experts on lending and that sort of thing. And where we are on this, I think we in Goodyear are going to be taking foreclosure very seriously. In reality, there's not a lot we can materially do for these very, very sad stories, but we can do some things. We've got $3 million coming down the pike right in the very near future to help. But I think where we can really help is by facilitation and bringing the federal government to recognize and understand our problem here in Goodyear and our adjoining cities. So that's where we're going to be, and staff is working it with me and John and Matt Hansen, and I think Jim's in it too. Where's Jim? He's out there somewhere. There he is. And so the fact is, foreclosure and our efforts to help those going through those trying situations are going to be front and center. To the extent we can help them, we'll try and do that. And I'll be asking for help from council for anybody who would like to help in that particular project. It's really a matter of just getting the word out and trying to convince people who have money well, no one has money anymore. The federal government just prints it. But to get them to get some of that money to help our folks here.
And to add to that, Mayor, the NSP program that CDAC is controlling is, there should be up to $6 or $7 million in that for that program.
Okay, John?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I've got a whole bunch of things for follow-up. One will, on the parks plan, we'll develop a figure for costs for the different zones in the parks plan and the total CIP impact for 2020. We will also look at the feasibility of a handicap park, not an ADA compliant park, but a handicap park somewhere in the city, and we'll ask Matt to look for grants for that possibility. We will ask Langford to address the passive versus active nature of the park area in the city park plan. We will also prorate into the park study the ballpark and the recreational complex, because that's something new. We will look at a partnership with the county on developing some kind of grants possibility, acquisition, whatever, for the major county park on the south side of the Gila River, and we'll also develop cost estimates for the O&M for that. We'll include the HOAs also in those calculations, because that's an important part of our parks system. We will also look at the significant lands that are also owned by other governments in the area, because that is also a significant part in our open space and park system. And I will find out for sure how big is the county park. I heard 10,000, 14,000. So I will find that out and let you know also. During the meeting, we also agreed that we would look at grants for the school recycling. And under ComStat, the presentation by the chief, we will look at publicizing the successes of ComStat because it is indeed a very successful program in a very short period of time. And we will also look at how to introduce our citizens through and into technology with the police department on the residential side as we have with the business side. Under the meeting, we will look at the ADA trail carefully with the developer of Goodyear Palms Plaza across the railroad tracks. And we will also check with the user with the completion of the hotel by February of 2010 as to whether or not they can work out some arrangements there. And we will take care of the coldness on the council dais. So, with that, I'd also like to, if I could ask that these be passed out to the council members. First of all, I want to mention the Human Services Directory. On November 17th, the council member Osborne asked staff for information that can aid local school administrators when advising families of the social services available. We use the Maricopa County Human Services Quick Reference List to aid in our response to local inquiries. The Quick Reference List is created by the Maricopa County Government Information and Referral Division. The guide is published every 2 years and identifies more than 100 organizations in the Maricopa area that provide human services and is focused on children and families. We will be forwarding this resource to all of the local school administrators that Mrs. Osborne has been meeting with, and we will provide that for their information. And this is just a summary. I apologize you can't see the screen, but this is a summary of the different social services by municipality. We attached a matrix for you, and it goes from everything from Christmas assistance through crisis intervention and so forth. So this is a listing of all of the different programs that are available.
But what you
said. What we got.
No, that's,
Okay.
I'm coming up to that.
Okay.
This was distributed last week, and I'm reporting on it this week.
All right.
Second thing I want to talk about is the Moose Lodge, the Fraternal Order, and the wireless communication facility. On October 27th, the council approved a special use zoning for a monopalm wireless communication tower, and that was at the Moose Lodge. You requested that we look at, and the applicant look at the investigate whether or not alternative landscaping was possible there with the planting of some palm trees. We did investigate that with the applicant and found that the feasibility of planting the trees was very inexpensive, no problem at all. But we did find that getting the water for the maintenance of the trees very expensive. This land is in an area that does not have municipal water, and so it would cost, I believe, I don't have the number in here, I believe it was $25,000 to get the water service there. So we're recommending that we not proceed to require that palms be planted there. This also is taking into consideration the Federal Communications Act of 1996, which prohibits municipalities from putting barriers in front of mono towers. So that's our recommendation to the council with regards to that point. Nope, I guess that's it. The other things I'd like to mention are, that one will wait. The ticket sales for the Cleveland Indians. We're doing fantastic on that particular, in that particular area. In 2007, the Indians sold in the Florida League 1,377 total season tickets. In 2008, they sold 1,571 season tickets. We are, with 2 months to go, already at 1,190 season ticket sales. So we're doing fantastic. The Indians are thrilled. And that represents 21,420 tickets. I mean, so it's really going well. And interestingly, the breakdown of where do these people live that are buying these tickets, 34% live in Goodyear, 25% live in other Arizona cities, 16% are from Ohio, and 25% are from other states. I mean, so that's 41% from outside the state of Ohio and 59% from the state of Arizona. So, I mean, that's going fantastic. The last item that I passed out that you have in front of you, just for your information, with the stimulus package that the President-elect Obama has been talking about, we have been working diligently to make sure that we get our oar in the water. We have been working with our federal lobbyist. Romina has gone back to Washington twice now to meet with the lobbyist because he believes he's working with the administration, and he believes that there is a possibility that Goodyear can get some projects specifically for the city. And so what I have in front of you is the projects that we have submitted to MAG. MAG is coordinating this on a statewide basis, or on a Maricopa County basis. And I point out the two red check marks that I put next to MC85, which you actually approved this evening. The city's local share is $5,200, or the federal cost that we're asking for is $5,280,000. And then the park and ride, that's almost $11 million project. Those are the two that we're really focusing on, that our lobbyist feels have a good chance of being included. Then the other one that I identified, the third one from the top, is one that we are working very hard behind the scenes to get included also, and that's a $12,500,000 total cost project for Yuma Road, the Estrella Boulevard to Litchfield Road. So those are projects, but these are all of the projects that we did submit, and I think they total $288 million just for the city of Goodyear. So, but you'll notice in there that we have everything from relocation of Insumet, the second from the bottom, at $55 million. We have the bottom item, purchase of and rehab of Unit Dynamics at $15 million. So we're trying for everything to keep that before the administration. I apologize that we got a little out front of you on this, but we've had to respond very quickly to everybody requesting different projects. So this is what the staff has put together and what we are working on right now. Finally, I just put out for your information beforehand the Goodyear Ballpark and Recreational Complex brochure that we're using in our marketing so that you can see the type of advertising we're doing, and that's available to many different people. And I also passed out a wallet schedule for the Cleveland Indians this year so that you can keep handy what games are when. And I believe that's what I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Are there any inquiries of staff by council? Yes.
Mayor, a thought that comes to mind as you're talking about the baseball facility, we have a fantastic marketing opportunity in January. Unfortunately, most of us will probably be sitting at the dais at the same time as the game. But my in-laws implore me to make sure it's a fast meeting so I can get home and watch the Ohio State game. But we're going to have a lot of rabid Buckeye fans here, and I don't know if there's an opportunity or marketing opportunity to invite them. Oftentimes our neighbors to the west get to steal them because they've got their namesake, but we have a great facility. And I don't know if you've thought about that in the marketing department.
We have, Mr. Antoniak. We have placed several ads in the Ohio papers, and we're doing things for when the people are here. But the Ohio State, as people all know, is in the Fiesta Bowl, and so yes, we are pursuing that.
Good. And then you answered my question with this one, because we just talked about this in another meeting today about the economic stimulus, and everybody's getting their oar in the water and getting ready to go. So.
Well, the latest estimate I saw was that the president-elect is estimating that the package that he comes up with is going to cost somewhere between $500 and $700 billion.
That's worse.
The mayor earlier talked about the federal government printing money.
Yeah, the printing press is going to work, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, our loan to value in the United States is like 4%, so it's pretty low. We can probably afford to print some money.
Councilmember Cavalier.
No, that's all right. He wants to go home and watch the game.
Okay. All right, I'd ask each of the council members if they join me and do your comment to the public. But I want to wish the public and the city staff a happy Hanukkah and a Merry Christmas, and hope all of us enjoy this, which should be a joyful season for most of us, but we need to think about those for whom it will not be joyful. But Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, and always hold your family and friends dear.
Oh, that's hard to top. Just Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. However you celebrate your holiday time, have a blessed holiday time to staff and everybody. Thank you.
Merry Christmas from me and my family to all of you and the community as a whole. I hope that the new year sees a brighter horizon for us.
Resilient.
Vice Mayor?
Hard to top. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Enjoy your holiday breaks, a couple of extra days. Kudos to your new city manager for coming up with that idea. So enjoy the time that you have with your family, and all of you as a whole will be in my family's prayers during the holidays.
Happy holidays and be safe.
That's good.
Brenda?
Happy holidays to all the folks in Goodyear, and let's just say around our country, and may 2009 look a lot better than 2008. So let's go.
Okay, thank you, and this meeting's adjourned.
Yay.